My friend, chord of the week. What we're doing a play along series. If you have your ukulele, play along with me. Today we're going to be discussing a chord called the C6, why a C6 can also be called an A minor 7, and how to make that possible for every other chord on the ukulele. If you like this channel, and if you like the content, subscribe, become a member, support the channel, support my dream. That would make super sense, wouldn't it? You could ask a bunch of different questions. As soon as your name is green, anytime I'm live, I will stop what I'm doing and answer your music question. Other than that, look forward to music-related content for members only, and you get first dibs at every video that comes out. There's like 12,000 something videos on this video, on this channel. I'm sure there's bound to be one thing that you dig. Having said all that mumbo jumbo, subscribe right now too. All right, here we go. We're gonna be playing a C6. Let's explain it through the eyes of music. When we play a 7-note structure of individual tones or frequencies, they are called pitches, and they relate to something called a diatonic scale. The reason why it's called a diatonic scale, not just a scale, is because in the Western ear there are two types of scales. Chromatic and then diatonic. Now, there are microtonal scales, and there are ways to make scales that aren't just a major or minor scale. They're by manipulating those tones. Having said that, we rely on generally 7 notes for this kind of septatonic tail. We have pentatonic scales. We also have octatonic scales. This one, we're just talking about a grouping of 7. Those 7 that we generally teach for are the key of C, because it's easier to describe. So if you say, hey, let's play 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, flat 7, it becomes something called a modus. Then we can move that to any different key and produce the same kind of pattern. That's what we kind of play, and I try to teach my students that the meat and potatoes of music lies in the half steps and the rests. The space between and the patterns you do that incorporate that new weird note that's not part of the 7. Anywho, I digress. For today, let's just play an open phrasing and see that the thickest string on the ukulele is the C. When we go to the second string, not the third and second, this is a major third, C and E. Anywhere we do this, this is going to be considered a major third on the 2 middle strings. And then when we add in that high G, we have C, E, G. Well, that's the C major triad. C, D, E, F, G, A. The chord we're talking about is C, E, G plus the A. So when you strum an ukulele open, you are strumming a chord called a C6. We also have a chord called an A minor 7, which these are the 2 best ways to explain this chord. When we play an A, a C, and an E, not in that order, we get an A minor. When we play an A minor, A, B, C, D, E, F, G makes up our minor 7th, as there are no sharps and flats in the key of A minor, and all music is viewed through the eyes of the major. So whoop, 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 whoop. If we put back the 3, the 6, and the 7 in the key of A minor, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, A, G, A, B, it's just no sharps and flats. When we go A, B, C sharp, D, E, F sharp, G sharp, we now have A major. The whole idea is you get different moduses from these notes when you put back that F sharp and the G, but that's not this lesson. That's another lesson. So today, let's play a cool kind of progression that you probably don't get often. We're gonna play a C6. We're gonna bar up the 5th fret. Now follow me here. This is a C note. This is a C6. C, C sharp, D, D sharp, E, E sharp. And E sharp 6 is also known as an F6. Nice. And hypothetically, you could do the same thing we just did. So if you're playing an F6, you could say F, G, A, B flat, C, D. When we play an F6, it is the same chord as a D minor 7. Now let's check it out. Yeah. Lower intonation, higher intonation. And then you could go even higher and get a higher intonation up top. So when playing like a C6 to an F6 or a D minor 7, either one, and then we were to play like an F major 7, just holding in the 2 notes on the G and the C string, keeping open in the E and the A, and then maybe taking that up to the 8th fret. Well, let's walk it up and C again. C, C sharp, D, D sharp, E, E sharp, F sharp, G, G sharp. G sharp or A flat 6? Well, cool. That would be an E minor 7. Let's test it out. Yeah, that kind of feels right. It's up higher. That feels like the E minor, though. So it must be a F again. It's an F minor So you see where we're going with this. A cool correct. I got tongue-tied, my bad. When we're doing something like a C6 to a F6, F major 7, and then to our maybe. So on this, have fun playing around with these chords. The chord is a C6. You could use it in many, many different capacities. This video is essentially just to show you how to name chords. If you're not familiar that chords have family chords have 7 different individual notes which make up the chords inside the family, that's what I was just doing. Let me show you as a little recapper. When we play like a C major, a D minor, an E minor, an F major, a G major, an A minor, and then a B diminished, or it's called a G7. We get 7 chords that are relating to the do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. C for C major, D for D minor, E for E minor, F for F major, G for G major, A for A minor, B for B diminished, or G7. And then we go right back to our 1. Each key does this. So like F major, G minor, A minor, B flat major, C major, D minor, E diminished, F. The whole idea is get a good working knowledge of at least the key of C, at least the key of F, and at least the key of G, and you can play hundreds and thousands of songs. And this channel has a good amount of them on there. If you have a song that you've been working on, throw it my way. I would love to hear an idea about what you're working on and become a member so you and I can become music buddies. Aloha!